I'm so glad to get to be able to commune with you today about the idea of overwhelm. It's quite an interesting day in the United States. Looking forward to seeing the outcomes of some of the political things for the world and for this country. It's going to be fun. However, overwhelm. Oh, look at that. It's going to be magical too. That's what that sound was. So imagine right now that we are going through a portal, like a portal of, we just got to see everything that has been in the way of flowing forward. And we get to start to apply that operating system that I'm talking about all the time. Now, I want to get some things straight about this year because I've heard things about this being the age of Aquarius, it's all happy, happy, joy, joy, which is not the way the universe works, but it is, but it isn't, but it is, but it isn't. I want to explain the age of Aquarius in terms of what the hologram looks like and how using more scientific explanation will give you a deeper understanding and how to plug into this year so you don't get overwhelmed, okay? The second piece of it is why this year is going to have a lot to, especially the beginning of this year is going to have a lot to come up to leave, like a lot to come up to leave, and how you avoid, again, getting overwhelmed by that. And then I'm going to share a couple of tools that you might be able to use going forward and a suggestion that I have, okay? So a big suggestion. Okay. Some of us are feeling like, I swear I was born for this time in our history. I feel that way. I feel like I was born for this time in history. I feel like my whole life has added up to this point. Have you ever felt that way? Like, gosh, I really feel like getting on with it. And that's about building a bridge to the reason that you were born, like really getting fulfilled by aligning with the trajectory of who you were born to be and how you apply that amazing human that you are out into the world in the most fulfilling ways. And there never was a time before like this right now in 2021. Because, so why? And then we'll go do the Aquarius thing because I need to explain this first. Because, first and foremost, in order to build the bridge, we've sort of been lost for a while. There's been a lot of polarity, you guys, as you've witnessed. It's not that we've been lost, it's just that we've had to have a lot of contrast to kick us back into alignment because, especially in first world countries, the idea can be to get somewhere or to accomplish things. Do you guys relate to this? To achieve goals. That can be if you look around you, if you're not a person like that, you'll probably see at least half of your friends are like that, right? They're trying to get somewhere or accomplish something, like they'll get a closer seat to God in heaven, or somehow they'll win the competition game. And of course, that isn't the way. The competition is fun if you don't do it for competition, for the sake of having it mean something to you or about you. But this world is really designed for co-creativity and to see how fulfilled you can be, to see what you're capable of creating, and to observe imperfections that you get to create upon. So part of its design is the imperfection. And hi, Jenny Dean. So part of the design of this world is imperfection. So for those of you that are perfectionists out there, just know that in the design of human is you're not supposed to get it right. You're just designed to evolve what is. There's no supposed to either. The way you get to play is to evolve what is to more fluid and heavenly forms. But in order to do that, there has to be, understand that contrast is part of living, okay? So the first place I want to begin as we get to describing this age of Aquarius idea is that people have this idea in their head like it's going to be kumbaya and everyone's going to agree and we are one and all this kind of stuff. It doesn't make sense. We're extensions of creation. And if we're extensions of creation, the way you create on this planet is you're either inspired by someone that went before you or something that went before you, or you're catalyzed by contrast or by someone disagreeing with you or something that you don't prefer. And so we had a lot of that over the last several years and several decades. And we've become so busy that we've decided to become so busy because we made up this idea that being really busy and trying to get somewhere, improve yourself in the world of contrast is what we're meant to do. And based on that perspective, we're go, do, but you become unconscious in pursuing that as your goal, to get somewhere or to one up other people or to win the game of competition. So by definition, it can never work. Think of creation. We're extensions of creation. Creation doesn't compete with itself. Creation just stays curious on the adventure of what else we can do. It's like a child with Legos. Think of yourself like a cosmic 3-year-old with Legos. Okay? So how does everything I just said kind of fit into the age of Aquarius thing and how not to get overwhelmed? Well, astrologically, yes, there's a whole bunch of alignment. In fact, it started on the 21st of December with planet, you know how they say that your planets are aligned, where, well, the entire civilization of humanity and the earth had all of its planets aligned. So that was pretty cool. It's the start of an era of being able to play with the new old operating system of total fluidity and living from overflow. Most people hear that and they extrapolate that means everyone's going to be happy and everyone's going to play nice. And my response to that is you have to stop expecting that. In a creative universe, there's always going to be contrast that causes you to get clarity so that you can create upon creation in ways that you never thought before. Does this make sense? So part of life is to have contrast. It's just the degree of the contrast that we currently have had is directly proportionate to the degree to which we became unconscious. Hence, creation, having COVID, have us need to slow down and be introspective and stop having our lives be conditional on how other people are or behave, although there's still a whole bunch of people that are still making their lives very conditional. It was a time do you know how many books are being written during this time of COVID? It's like, if life gives you lemon, make lemonade. How do you make your sense of fulfillment unconditional? A. B, how do you use the contrast to be able to create more clarity? That's the only reason for contrast. And man, have we had contrast, which means that which awaits us from the wishes that we developed based on the contrast that we felt, that which awaits us because consciousness heard every wish that you had, is so huge in the years to come. Our job now is not to point fingers. Our job is to align people, align. I say to you, align with what's presenting. Do you understand? That's what's important. Align your energy. Catch yourself up. Be responsible for your vibration. And as you do that, you watch everything but everything come to you. Okay, so, and you'll still have contrast. Happy, joy all the time is not how we're designed. How you know that is you can feel any emotion you want. Sometimes people die and it's sad. Sometimes do people things that are unfair and it makes you angry. That's okay. Let it catalyze you to create how you be with your family, how you be with others, who you be. Make the world a better place because you're being catalyzed. So, with a lot of contrast comes a lot of movement, comes a lot of possibility, comes a lot of overwhelm. If you think you're by yourself, that's the last piece of this. If you really want to experience the flow that's available in this alignment state of humanity, if you want to experience that, one would finally have to own that one is a metaphysical being more than one is a physical being, and that your gifts, your innate abilities, your reason for being born, that's based on lifetimes upon lifetimes of developing skills, becomes far more important, or at least equally as important as the physical expression of you. In other words, your three-dimensional self has to start to realize that you're also a multi-dimensional self, and that your world is filled with possibility based on being able to bring your instincts, your intuition, your love, your passion, which are all multidimensional aspects of you, into this physical body, knowing that you have greater wisdom to guide you. And if you operate that from that not aloneness, nothing is overwhelming. So the get out of your own way that's coming up, that I think a lot of you have signed up for it from the looks of it, that get out of your own way, if you haven't, it's the wideawakening.com/end overwhelm, or you can just go to the wideawakening.com to programs and look it up. Go and look it up. And this is what we're doing, is really transcending the need to have circumstances make you happy. The ability to flow with anything that's going on without being taken out by the emotions of it. And the ability to start to, like the first step of embodying the operating system for living in overflow, or thriving, as we like to call it, the first step we're going to do together in this get out of your own way, so that your default shifts to be aligned with this year and these several decades to come. And hi, Juliet. Oh my God, do I miss you? So, Christina, it feels difficult because most people try to do it by themselves without getting help. And we each carry codes, and we're here to pay ourselves forward to all the people that are after us. And so it feels hard when we haven't embodied our collective greater wisdom. That's why it feels hard. And when you understand that you're multidimensional, but not just understand it intellectually, we're talking here about embodying it. Now it gets really exciting to start to, now instead of going, oh my God, I don't know how I'm ever going to do this, or it seems like too much, when we start to understand the science of it, and we start to embody the tools and use them, we get thirsty for the next level, which is the embodiment of that operating system in totality, so that our new default is to live like you see so many people living. Like overflow starts to happen. It starts to be just delicious and crazily, you can't wait to get up in the morning, really. So that's where we're headed with these programs, with Get Out as the first step, and then the Thriving Operating System Level 1, and then the Thriving Operating System Level 2, so that we can take people on that journey so everyone can be caught up to being able to plug into this amazing several years to come without having to go through the 5-year learning curve that most people have to. So that's where we're at. Now, if you're, and I love that you asked that question, it's hard because when you don't know what you don't know, you're sort of, it's like trying to tell someone how to ride a bike, and then they get on the bike and they're falling over all the time. Until you actually get the distinctions associated with balance, you're going to fall off the bike all the time. But all of a sudden, when you actually embody the idea of balance, it's like riding a bike is not only easy, it's also fun. So until you live in overflow, it's because it's like it's that sense of embodiment hasn't happened yet. In other words, and so that's the mission of this work, right? I hope that makes sense. I hope you got that. And yes, it has been a while, Juliet. I miss you and I love you. Okay, so I told you I'd give you a couple of skills, then I make a recommendation. Okay, so one skill, well, the recommendation, I know a lot of you are already in this Get Out. If you haven't done Get Out in a long time, my God, it is so different than it used to be. And we're doing a 1-day immersion in the first step of embodiment of transcending overwhelm so that you can get to overflow, right? And so you'll find that, as I said, I'll post a link. Okay. So yes, exactly. Experiential versus theoretical. So we're going to go on an experiential journey together on January 16th. Okay. So next is, for those of you that still want to sign up for that, it's still available. You can. And my recommendation is get yourself in there. We're in a new age, you guys, as of December 21st of last year. And it's time to plug into the abundance. Get Out of Your Own Way used to be $55. It's $297. And we have a prep class that we're going to send you the replay of, so that you can get a sense of preparing for this particular class. So you'll be able to listen to a prep class to catch your energies up to what we're going to do and get out of your own way. Okay? So that is if you haven't signed up yet. The two skill sets that I can say out of the 12 that I've sort of come up with, the two to begin with, for sure, to transcend overwhelm. The first is, many of you already know, and I bet you there's some of you that are forgetting to do it. So this is a reminder. Before you go to bed, I'm not kidding. It's my favorite skill. Higher levels, Adam and I both say this before we go to bed. Higher levels take command. Higher levels take command. I declare this day complete. So I'm lying in bed. This is what Adam and I say. I complete, and thank you, William Linville, for this. I declare this day complete. You guys do your thing. And then if anything comes up that I'm afraid I'm going to forget, I have a little notebook beside my bed and I write it down on the little notebook so that the notebook in my head isn't busy. Okay, so everything I write down. And then I say, bring it, right? So now my collective 93% of me that's metaphysical, so my higher intelligence and all the different realms of my metaphysical innate abilities and what one might call guides and angelic realms and all of that, basically take everything that I set in motion for the day, integrate with solutions, integrate with possibilities, integrate with ideas while I'm sleeping and out of the way of them. And then when I wake up in the morning, I say, show me. So that is a very powerful act, which I'd love to hear how many people are still doing that and how that's doing for you. Okay? So, and you're welcome, Christina. It's my pleasure. So the second skill, so these are just 2 of 12, but I would say 8 out of the 12 that you're going to learn and get out will be brand new. You won't have heard them before because of the evolution into this amazing expanse that is the years to come. Okay, so, all right. The second skill around overwhelm is, again, if we're going to build on this, I got to make sure you guys are doing the ones that we've given you, and that, people always think, oh, there must be something more. No, there's nothing really and truly. The skills that we've taught in the other programs. So one of them that's really important, if you've never heard this before, is I did a video on way back on the playground, and it was about being the eye of the storm. So imagine yourself putting the world, your kids, your sweetie, the dog, the renovations to the house, the trying to find a new apartment, all of it outside of you. So what I do is I close my eyes and I take my consciousness, like the me that I think is me, I bring myself all behind my third eye. I bring myself behind my pineal gland and bring my presence behind my eyes so that I'm actually here back behind my eyes in my power. And then what I do is I imagine the world. I imagine the world moves about 2 miles or 2 kilometers, depending on where I live, away from me. And it operates that far away from me. And I put that all outside of me, and then if something needs to present that I need to look at, it will actually take the effort to come back into my presence without, see how most people do it is they put their attention on something and it's in their presence, right? And then you put the next thing, oh my God, the kids, I gotta get so-and-so to piano lessons. I gotta, make sure I vacuum today. The carpet's disgusting, or whatever. You start thinking about all these things you need to do. And what happens is you're the one bringing everything from the hurricane out there into your experience. What I'm saying is put it all outside of you and understand it from this place where your consciousness is behind your eyes. You can actually observe what's asking to come in that needs attention. And it's really much like, at this point, we're going to talk about trusting. But when we get to the Thriving Operating System programs, it's about embodying the idea of, trusting is like, I'm going to trust that consciousness is going to present me with what I need to look at. When you embody it, you just live in this constant flow of those things coming into your experience constantly, relentlessly, only when they present, only when you can handle them, and only when you have the resources to be able to apply to them. And so it's this incredible fluidity when you've embodied that idea. But now it's just practice putting it all outside of you until we get to that place of pure embodiment, right? In the level 1 and level 2 programs of Thriving Operating System. And that's where we're beginning. We're moving ourselves to that place of embodiment and get out of your own way by putting everything outside of us. This is skill number 2. And allowing our lives and our higher levels to actually show us. When you combine these first 2 skills, a lot can get done, you guys. Very, very, very powerful. So if you haven't been doing these things, get back to them and start before we start the Get Out. So you've already got some momentum towards our deeper conversation in the Get Out class, okay? So love you guys so much, so appreciative of being able to have this conversation. I cannot wait until I can travel again and come to the UK and come to Germany and come to Australia to do Get Out again in other places in the world. Or even to be able to have you guys come here and come to some of the beautiful places in Asheville and have Get Out of Your Way live. But until then, we're finding ways to make our online programs extremely powerful. And I'm just so deeply appreciative of being able to have some great colleagues of mine who are just so adept at giving us the goods on how to do that. So I love you guys so much. Come and play. If you, my deepest wish is that you come at least after Get Out to the Thriving Operating System 1 class and start to understand what that thriving operating system looks like, because I'm telling you, this is the decade to know about that. This we're moving into an amazing time in history together. And remember, the age of Aquarius is not about everybody singing Kumbaya. It's about being able to work with the contrast in a way that has you stay fluid no matter what, and to be able to come back to a state of neutrality without the judgment of yourself or others and getting involved in all the drama. So that's where we're headed, to be able to create in total fluidity and have abundance be the result.